no one had the tenacity and the desire and the competitiveness, that basically Curtis has shown throughout his career.
Curtis's strengths was that he didn't make many mistakes.
I don't think he had a weakness, to tell you the truth.
When you were playing Curtis, you probably looked across there and thought, man, I've got a bulldog here. He's not going to give me a hole.
He played with the things that champions have to have.
To me, what made Curtis a great player was the 15th club. It was the one in his soul and his guts. That's what separated Curtis from everyone else.
Curtis Northrop Strange was a child of golf.
His dad was a golf pro and a beautiful swinger of the club, won numerous state opens in Virginia.
He taught me the fundamentals of the game, the etiquette of the game, the respect for the game, and in life, pretty much, because it bleeds over into both.
Thomas Strange Jr. was an accomplished PGA golf professional in Virginia, whose own Hall of Fame career was tragically cut short.
When your dad passes when you're 14, how well do you really know him? I mean, when you look back on it now. I truly believe that the golf course and the atmosphere of the club is the greatest environment for any kid to grow up in, especially if he's the son of the pro, because if there's 300 members out there that day, I had 300 dads watching over me.
Curtis filled the void left by his father's passing with a relentless commitment to competitive golf. After capturing Virginia State junior titles in 1970 and 1972, he embarked on a decorated amateur career, highlighted by winning back-to-back Virginia State and North-South Amateur Championships, the 1974 Western Amateur, and as a member of the victorious 1975 U.S. Walker Cup team.
He was a legend in amateur circles. It was a source of pride for the state of Virginia, how well he played.
Curtis also went on to become a three-time All-American at Wake Forest.
I think you can put Curtis in the top 3 of players that played at Wake Forest.
I think that what he did his freshman year really cemented his legacy at Wake Forest. You know, he came to the final hole of the NCAA. He needed birdie for Wake Forest to win the team. He needed eagle for him to win the individual. He had driver 1 iron to 6 feet, wins it, wins both.
I didn't know how big a deal it was. And I called home and my mother started crying. And she never cried before. And I'm thinking this is something a little different, a little bigger.
In 1975, Curtis led the Demon Deacons to a successful defense of their '74 NCAA championship, prompting some to consider it the greatest college team ever assembled. Curtis Strange was well on his march to 17 career PGA Tour titles when he finished atop the money list for the first time in 1985. He repeated that accomplishment in 1987 and again in 1988, when he won 4 times to become the first player ever to win $1 million in a season.
He was a kind of a local hero that we all knew, and he was still being a playing representative for Kings Mill Resort, so he still maintained ties to the section. He was part of us. He was out on tour, but he was still part of us.
One of those wins in 1988 resulted in Curtis's first major championship, as he outlasted Nick Faldo in an 18-hole playoff in the United States Open at Brookline. The next year at Oak Hill, the golf world took notice when Curtis held the U.S. Open lead at the halfway point.
I didn't know who the last guy to win back-to-back was until I led after 2 rounds. Now I'm reading about Ben Hogan was the last guy. And then I played a poor 3rd round, so nobody mentioned Hogan in the Sunday morning paper.
The echoes of Hogan were revived that Sunday as Curtis Strange came from 3 shots back to win his 2nd consecutive U.S. Open.
Ben Hogan, 1950, 1951. Curtis Strange, 1988, 1989. Nobody else for 3, now almost 4 generations. Enough said.
But when you win back-to-back U.S. Opens, that means you're a great player. It didn't surprise me, not one bit.
1988 culminated in Curtis being named PGA Tour Player of the Year. Curtis went on to be named to 5 U.S. Ryder Cup teams and was named captain for the 2001 matches.
Truly one of the most exciting days of my life.
Which took on an even more patriotic atmosphere after being postponed in the wake of terrorist attacks just weeks before the matches were scheduled.
To represent your country as captain after 9/11, it became more important and had a new meaning. We weren't just representing a few, we were representing a whole lot.
Curtis Strange, an extraordinary golfing talent, now joins his dad Thomas as the first father-son inductees into the Middle Atlantic PGA Hall of Fame.
If it wasn't for a shot here, a shot there, you know what I'd be doing for a living? I'd be a member of the Middle Atlantic PGA and a member of the PGA of America, hopefully in a golf shop somewhere. That's what I would be doing, because that's what I was brought up to do.